Vietnam proposes China to extend customs clearance time for agricultural products. According to experts, tourism industry among the first to recover rapidly after COVID-19. Qualification date changed. Vietnam athletics still has a chance to earn entries in Olympic 2020. Hello and welcome to FBNC News. I'm HTVC. Latest updates on the COVID-19 pandemic in Vietnam. As of the 17th of April, no new cases of COVID-19 was found. 21 Vietnamese patients have recovered and discharged from treatment facilities across the country. The newly recovered patients have brought the country's total patients being given the all clear to 198, making up nearly 74% of the total 268 COVID-19 cases in Vietnam. As part of Vietnam's continued efforts to support other countries in dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic, yesterday on the 16th of April, at the Vietnam's government office, the Vietnamese government donated hundreds of thousands of made in Vietnam antibacterial face masks to the United States, Japan and Russia. In particular, the Vietnamese government presented made in Vietnam medical supplies worth $100,000 to the Japanese government and people and 50,000 medical masks to Japan's cabinet office. Speaking at the handover ceremony, Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs TIİnh said, in the context of the complex COVID-19 pandemic, Vietnam and Japan soon joined hands within bilateral and multilateral frameworks to cope with the pandemic, including the successful coordination in organizing the ASEAN Plus 3 Special Summit on the 14th of April. On the same day, Vietnam donated 200,000 cloth face masks to the United States, and Prime Minister Nguyễn Xuân Phúc made an additional donation of 50,000 medical masks to the White House office. Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs TIİnh noted that Vietnam and the US have effectively cooperated in combating the COVID-19, including the cooperation in specific areas such as mutual assistance in medical equipment and supplies, information exchange, and citizen protection. Also on the 16th of April, on behalf of Vietnamese Prime Minister Nguyễn Xuân Phúc, Minister and Chairman of the Government Office TIİnh presented to Russian government a gift of 50,000 antibacterial masks, which followed a donation of 150,000 masks from Vietnam to the Russian government and people on the 13th of April. Representatives from the US, Japan and Russia all expressed their gratitude to the Vietnamese government for the humanitarian aid. Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development Nguyễn Xuân Cường held a working session with Chinese Ambassador to Vietnam, Seong Bo in Hanoi on the 16th of April to discuss ways to facilitate the exchange of agricultural products between the two countries amid COVID-19.
Agricultural, forestry and fishery trade between Vietnam and China fell about 7% year-on-year in the first months of the year. The tightened control by the neighboring country in response to the epidemic slowed down customs procedures, while working trips by delegations from the two agriculture ministries and major trade fairs have both been suspended. China has allowed 9 types of Vietnamese fruit and vegetables to be imported. The two sides are completing the necessary procedures for 8 more Vietnamese agricultural products to do likewise. Minister Nguyễn Xuân Cường used the occasion to call on the ambassador to help facilitate online procedures so that technical issues are addressed. He also proposed the Chinese side extend the opening of its customs offices, which are only 5 or 6 hours at certain border gates, and that the two sides will invest more human resources in this regard. China's customs sector has adopted many measures to shorten the time needed to complete customs clearance, Chinese ambassador to Vietnam explained, suggesting that Vietnam expand cargo parking areas to ease congestion at border gates such as Tân Thành and Hữu Nghị, optimize railway links in this regard, and launch online medical declaration services for drivers.
According to Phan Thanh Sang, chairman of Đà Lạt Flower Association, since the beginning of the year, the COVID-19 pandemic has severely impacted Đà Lad's flower consumption. Prices of flowers fell at record rates. For about a month up to now, nearly 90% of Đà Lad's flower output has been in backlog and forced to be discarded. Currently, Lâm Đồng province has about 3,500 hectares of flowers, mainly produced using high-tech agriculture models. However, since the COVID-19 pandemic has swept across the country, the flower export markets have frozen. The domestic demand has also plummeted, and many flower areas reaching the harvest have been discarded. The rest is for sale at extremely low prices. In order to limit the damage, the local agriculture sector has urged growers to narrow planting areas and stop producing some varieties, as well as working with localities such as Ho Chi Minh City and the southeast provinces to create favorable conditions for flower consumption in the localities, among other measures. Hit hardest by the COVID-19 pandemic, Vietnam's tourism sector is likely to be one of the first to recover rapidly after the pandemic is brought under control, says the director of Savills Hotels Asia Pacific.
According to Mauro Gasparotti, director of Savills Hotel Asia Pacific, local travelers, which accounted for 82.5% of all tourists last year, are expected to rise within a short period of time. While international visitors will return at a slower but steady rate, especially those from China and the Republic of Korea. In terms of international arrivals, the category expected to return the quickest is business travelers, especially to big cities, followed by independent travelers and those arriving for meetings and conferences. And finally, tourists traveling in groups. The country's tourism sector is expected to fully recover within 6 months after an announcement is made that the pandemic has been contained, Gasparotti said. The number of foreign arrivals to Vietnam fell 18% year-on-year in the first quarter, while the number of domestic travelers was down 6%. The sector's revenue declined 11% compared to the same period of 2019.
MB Bank, Nam Á Bank and Liên Việt Post Bank have just introduced a range of special credit packages to support both individuals and businesses to cope with the COVID-19 crisis. The total value of relief credit packages is 70,000 billion Vietnam đồng. Military Commercial Joint Stock Bank, MB Bank, offers a special relief credit package of 45,000 billion Vietnam đồng. In particular, 17,000 billion Vietnam đồng are translated into interest rate reductions of 0.5 to 1% for customers affected by the COVID-19 pandemic, effective until the 30th of September. The remaining 28,000 billion đồng is the value of a special disbursement program to support and stimulate business recovery. The interest rates range from 4.8 to 6%, varied by sectors. Meanwhile, Nam Á Bank has earmarked a total of 15,000 billion Vietnam đồng, offering interest rate reductions of up to 2%. This credit package is valid from the 20th of March until the government announces the end of the pandemic. Beneficiaries are individual customers and businesses in the fields of agriculture, accommodation, F&B, and import-export. Liên Việt Post Bank has rolled out a 10,000 billion Vietnam đồng credit package for all customers with reduced interest rates, 2% lower than usual, valid until the end of the 30th of September. Previously, MB Bank launched 2 special loan packages with a total value of 50,000 billion Vietnam đồng for individual customers, small and medium businesses, while Liên Việt Post Bank had reduced loan rates by 0.5%. The World Athletics has announced that the qualification period for the Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games is suspended until November 30th. Therefore, Vietnam still has opportunities to earn Olympic entries.
During this period, results achieved at any competition will not be considered for Tokyo Games entry standards or world rankings. IAAF also said the qualification period resumes on December 1st and continues to the new qualification deadline in 2021 set by the International Olympic Committee. IAAF leaders believed that the suspension would help athletes have more time for planning and preparation for their performance, and it is the best way to address fairness for athletes all over the world. According to TIểNG, General Secretary of the Vietnam Athletics Federation, Vietnamese athletes would definitely enjoy their opportunities. To date, Vietnam have earned 5 Olympic slots, but none of those are for athletics. There are 2 main reasons for the failure. First one was the delay of tournaments due to the coronavirus, so athletes had no chance to compete. The second is the higher standards that IAAF applied for the Tokyo Games, which according to Rio de Janeiro 2016 Olympic. Head of the Vietnam Sports Administration Vương Bích Hằng said despite difficulties, the administration would give best conditions for athletes to achieve their targets.
That's it from us for today. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next week. Have a good one.